Hello, Coolers, and welcome back to Viva Barca. Welcome to the home of everything Barcelona, where we are going to be discussing on the latest developing stories. We start with Ruben Neves of Wolverhampton Wanderers, as it has been reported that the Premier League midfielder have admitted his desire to play for Barcelona by saying that it will be a privilege. We are going to be discussing on that as we progress. Then secondly, talking about Andres Christensen, who have been out injured for a long time. It has been reported that the Barcelona defender is very close to receiving a medical clearance. We are also going to be looking at that. So guys, before we get right into it, please do ensure to subscribe if you haven't. If you're just coming across the channel for the very first time, you are very welcome. Consider liking the video and please watch right up to the very end. In the midst of Sergio Busquets' poor performances, the speculations regarding Barcelona's search for a new defensive midfielder is fueling further, with the club reportedly looking at Ruben Neves as a replacement, among many others. In a recent interview with Channel 11 via Mundo Deportivo, Ruben Neves was even asked about the prospect of joining Barcelona in the future. Responding to that question, the midfielder heaped praise on Barca and admitted his desire to play for the Catalan outfit. He said, "Who wouldn't want to play for Barcelona? If you ask in general, all the players want to play for Barca, one of the best clubs in the world," Neves said. "It is a privilege for me to be associated with this team." Neves is currently plying his trade with Wolverhampton Wanderers, regarded as one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League. He has featured in 223 competitive matches for the club. However, with his contract expiring in 2024, he could depart Mourinho in 2023 or even in the winter transfer window. Barcelona are among the clubs interested in his services, although the player is valued at a whopping 40 million euros. It may not deter Barcelona despite their ongoing financial shortcomings. And with Neves himself floating the idea of playing for Barca, the Catalans could certainly consider a move in January. At the same time, though, the midfielder does not plan on closing the door on a prolonged stay at Wolves either. He said, "I'm going to do my job. I'm going to focus as much as possible here because we have a lot of competition. I want to focus as much as possible on Wolves. Having a good season here, things will come very naturally," Neves added in the same interview. For the longest time, we have been showing interest in Ruben Neves, who have been one of the best players, one of the best DMs in the Premier League since he came to Wolverhampton. And Barcelona continue to show interest as Captain Sergio Busquets is very certain to leave Barcelona as his contract expires at the end of the season. Of course, we all know Barcelona have been linked with a bunch of defensive midfielders across Europe, many of them just trying to keep their options open. Of course, even though their top choice, who was Martin Zubimendi of Real Sociedad, did extend his contract, I think last week, to 2027, which came as a big blow for Barcelona, who have been considering him as their top choice. Ruben Neves have also been a strong contender, and Barcelona still see him as the second top choice since they have lost their first choice to a contract extension. Of course, here we can see Ruben Neves in an interview being asked about the question, of course, about the rumors that have been floating around every newspaper in Spain. He's linked to FC Barcelona, and of course, he did not even hide his expression, his joy to those links to Barcelona. Of course, Barcelona have always had that big name as one of the biggest clubs in the world, and every player will always wish to play for Barcelona. And Ruben Neves is no different, as he admitted just that. And I like that his statement towards the end of the interview where he said, "Let everything," he thinks everything will flow naturally. But right now he's focused on his Wolves career. He wants to focus on their winnings and everything like that on the season. If things want to happen, they will happen naturally. If it is meant to be, it is meant to be, as it has been said. So let's see if Barcelona will consider him, because there are some reports recently claiming that Barcelona want to go strongly in the winter market for Ruben Neves. But, it's not going to be an easy thing because Ruben Neves is one of the key players at Wolverhampton Wanderers, and you don't expect Wolves to just let that go easily, as Barcelona will try their best to ensure that. So the idea behind everything is Barca know that, Sergio Busquets, our captain, will certainly leave the club next June when the summer transfer window arrives. and Barca just want to bring that replacement before that time. Barca wish that they can bring that replacement for Busquets mid-season in January so that the player can be, studying things, playing, competing for places in that pivot role with Busquets before eventually taking it as his own. But to some extent, when we look at players like Frankie de Jong, who is a DM by trade, you ask yourself that why can't Barca consider him as the natural replacement for Busquets? Of course, those two are totally different in their styles of play, and that is why it seems as though Barca want but players who have the Busquets kind of way. Even though I don't know much about Ruben Neves, so I can't even say if Barcelona have seen the kind of Busquets style of play in Neves, which I'm not certain about that. But what I've been seeing in Frankie de Jong lately has been so amazing. And I think if Barca can just keep Frankie de Jong as that replacement for Busquets rather than rushing to the market, wasting money, whatever, we have a player in Frankie de Jong who is a world-class player that any big club would like to have in their team. But here we are, we think that, he needs to be a bench player. I think Barca should rethink Javi should rethink, Laporta should rethink about this idea of rushing for a player as Busquets replacement. We have a 25-year-old player in Frankie de Jong, who I think is in a world-class form right now, and Xavi should know that. Then on to the next story of discussion. Barcelona have suffered due to injuries to several defensive personnel in the past few weeks. However, slowly but surely, things are starting to improve on the injury front for Barca. This past weekend saw Jules Koundé return to on-field action against Real Madrid, while Hector Bellerin made his comeback from injury last night versus Villarreal. Now, according to Sport, Andres Christensen could be the next player in line to return from the sidelines, with a report claiming that the Dane is very, very close to receiving his medical green light. The 26-year-old joined Barca this past summer, arriving on a free transfer from Chelsea, while he featured prominently during the pre-season. He was used less frequently by Xavi once the campaign started, but whenever he stepped onto the pitch, Christensen looked solid and reliable for the most part. Having made 6 appearances, the centre-back picked up an ankle injury in the UEFA Champions League away against Inter Milan. The former Chelsea ace has since missed 4 matches across all competitions, but as per Sport, he is now close to completing his recovery and receiving the medical green light, from the club's staff. Whether that will come in time for Barca's La Liga clash against Athletic Club Bilbao, which is on Sunday this weekend, or in the Champions League encounter against Bayern Munich next week, remains to be seen. But Andres Christensen's impending return will be a big boost for Xavi and Barcelona, who will be looking to build on their recent win over Villarreal and reclaim the top spot in La Liga before the World Cup begins next month. So guys, with that, we have come to an end of this episode. Thanks a lot for watching. Until next time, bye bye.